Sup nerds, I'm Tom. I'm going to talk to y'all about the Armada expansion for Seven Wonders. Ba-boom. So the biggest thing that comes in Armada is, as you can see here, these ship boards with these little ship tokens that are minis, I guess, that move up these different tracks. And the way that works basically is in order to move up a track of either red, yellow, blue, or green, you have to spend an additional resource when you're building a card of that color. So if I'm building a red card and the red card costs a wood, I have to also be able to spend a stone to be able to, after building this red card, move up on the red track. Now, these boards, and probably one of the coolest things about them, is they're all different. Now, when you move up on the first section and the second section, that's all the same. But the resources you need to spend are all different. And there's also a way that you can move up a track if you build a wonder, or build a stage of your wonder. And the track that you move up has a little wonder symbol on it, and that's different amongst all the boards. So I do like that there's a lot of variability in the strategy. And most importantly, the strategy itself is really, really clever for, well, not necessarily clever, but it motivates you to have a different type of strategy. Allow me to explain. I have found, and some of my friends have confirmed it, that in Seven Wonders, it seems to be a very prevalent strategy to, in the first two ages, get as many resources as possible, and then on age 3, you just kind of go ba-boom, ba-boom, and get every card you can. Maybe it's science, maybe it's the blues. Some of those you kind of have to start at age 1 or 2, like maybe you need to build a couple reds just to fight off the people to your left and your right. Maybe you need to build a couple sciences, so by the time the third round comes, you have that foundation built and you can get a lot of points by building sciences. The best part about this expansion is it highly, highly incentivizes you to start building those cards early. There's no track on here for any resource cards. In fact, it's the other way around. You have to spend resources to be able to move up it. So, it is a little bit of a catch-22. Of course, now you have even more incentive to get more resources because you want to move up these tracks, but you're going to nickel and dime it a lot more, especially since, I play on the app a lot. There are a lot of times when I will just take resource, and not really look at the rest of my hand all that much, and kind of wait towards the end and really just have a really baller third act. And here, though, you are focusing so much on which resources you're spending so you can move up the right ship, because, not just because there's good stuff on there, right? There is good stuff on there. And I'll talk about what they are real quick. Moving up the red, there's these naval battles, which is probably the biggest thing, is now not only are you competing in a military-esque combat thing with the people to your left and your right, in addition to that, you're competing with everybody at the table. So in a 3-player game, doesn't affect it much. Now you have 2 battles with the people to your left and your right. So Seven Wonders in general, I always felt there's a little bit of the more the merrier. I think 5 is a perfect player count, and with this expansion, I would still agree with that 5 is the perfect number, so to speak, for Seven Wonders. But that is a big incentive for you to move up that track early, because that's another thing that at the end of every round, there's going to be negative points and positive points and stuff, and you want to be on that train. The yellow track also affects you because it is forcing, you get coins when you move up the yellow track, but also forces everybody else to lose coins, and you can, fight against that loss of coin by being up the yellow track yourself. There's this little pot symbol on the yellow track, and it's called commerce or something, I don't remember. But whenever somebody else moves up the track, they make everybody else lose coins. Well, you lose an amount of coins equal to whatever it says, minus your pot value. So as you move up, you could lose no coins when anybody else moves up the yellow. So that's a big incentive. Again, you have these 2 tracks that early in the game, you want to try and move up as fast as you can. Blue and green. Now, blue is, again, just points, but it's a lot of points. So I guess it's probably the most boring one. But then again, the blue cards in general, you can argue, are kind of boring. That strategy of just getting a bunch of resources early on and then just plopping down cards. Yeah, if I plop down a bunch of blues, I could win, and that's the lamest way to win, But then there's also the green one, which has these science cards that you pull from these, some of them do have to do with the science strategy, so to speak. There's also just a lot of different stuff in here, as I'm saying. Some of them will let you move up ships. Some of them give you military. Some of them give you naval, what do you call it? Naval strength. Some of them give you resources. So it is important to note when you're explaining this to a new player that the green track isn't just a science strategy related thing. There's giving you a lot of advantages for everything else. So like I said earlier, I do think this is probably one of my favorite expansions. Maybe Leaders is an expansion I would use more often. I don't feel like Seven Wonders is a great game for new players to add in an expansion initially, unless they're like, seasoned gamers or whatever. But, I always start off with the base game, and then I always feel like Leaders is the easiest one to add in because it's just something you do before every stage, just an extra card to pull out, and just gives you, an extra strategy, kind of aims you in a certain direction. This gives you 4 different directions you can aim towards, and, it makes it a lot harder for when you're pulling cards, like you have to do a lot of math, so to speak, a lot of strategic thinking on what resources you're going to get and which cards you're going to take out or move up the track and, all that kind of stuff. So it is a little bit harder for new players. So that's one negative I have. The other negative I have is a little bit to do with component quality. Now, in general, Seven Wonders, I always felt like it has really good components. And while that's true, these little ship minis are great and the cards are still great. Like, the component quality isn't bad, but I have an issue with the player boards in that when you put the ships in here, you kind of really have to push pretty hard. And even like right after I opened this box up, the very first time I played and I went to put them in there, I was like, ooh, that's hard. And I went to pull it out and I already started to see wear around that edge. Now it's a catch-22 because you do want those to be kind of tight because you don't want somebody to accidentally knock the table and they all fly off. Right? Think of terraforming Mars without the broken token insert. That can be a big problem. And while I get that, also the little tab that goes in is very small. Felt like maybe these could have been a little bit thicker and the tab goes longer or something. I don't know how much that would cost. Whatever. So maybe there's a solution to this. Maybe there isn't. But that is one complaint I would lobby against this. The other complaint is kind of silly, but I have here in a Seven Wonders base game box. I'll pull this off here. I have the broken token insert, and as you can see here, it is pretty full. I have all the cards sleeved, and I actually, because the cards are sleeved, I don't have room anymore for those, the Wonder Randomizer cards, right? That just have all the wonders on them, and you deal them out, and ooh, this is the wonder I'm going to use. So I don't even have those in here. So Armada clearly won't fit in here, which means broken token, if you're watching, I think for Seven Wonders, it's game crate time, baby. So like I said, if you're new to Seven Wonders, I would suggest that you buy first, obviously, the base game, and then I would say Leaders, then Armada, then Cities, and Babel is probably the last one. To be honest, it's the only expansion I haven't played yet. I have kind of every promo for Seven Wonders, so I played with those before I've even played with Babel, mainly because every time I talk about Babel and we're going to sit up and play, they're like, oh, Babel, I heard that's not good, or I've played it, I didn't like it. So I'm like, oh, okay. But, maybe it's good. I don't know, but from what I hear, I don't even know if I'll be able to get it to the table because it's just so black marketed, But if any of that sounds interesting to you, I'm going to put a purchase link in the description box down below. You can go ahead and get yourself a copy. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.